That's okay.
Okay, if that's the case, let me share my screen because I made some notes. I knew I had this doctor's appointment, so I made some notes so we can try not to forget things. So
Great.
there we go. All right, let's see. See if I can get this little bar out of the way, get this to work. There we go. So one thing I want to just follow up on some loose ends that we had from last year. We had talked about, of course, that we wanted the Cabrillo format logs from the participants, and Bruce Horn was going to work on a website to upload those, no big deal. But I also wanted to make sure that we could accept the ADIF format from the FT8 only people.
Right.
And your suggestion was to contact Bruce and see what he had to say, and look at his answer. It was perfect.
There you go.
Yeah. So you were right on the mark with that.
That's going to be so much better, because if you have to have the people go to 2 different websites, that's going to be very clunky. So
Right.
one-stop shopping is much better.
Yep. So it's so that was a piece of good news I got. So that was that. So you can put that to bed.
Another nice thing about that too is for people that do not contest or operate a lot, the simpler you make it for that group, the more participation and the better afterwards that you're going to have good feedback about their experience. So it's good on a lot of levels.
Yep, both are true. Yep. Let's see. Also on the software realm, N1MM was just a little slightly bit out of date. It had the 2017 name for the QSO party in there, and of course it had the old dates and times and whatnot. So I contacted the dev team, and they said that actually the latest release, which was 2 days ago, contains all the changes.
Oh, wow.
So yep. So I'll test that in the next couple of days, make sure everything's okay. But obviously, nice to have that done and out of the way.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Along those same lines, I'm a Mac user, and I use a software called Skookum Logger for my contesting. It's pretty well known, pretty well liked among the Mac community. And I noticed there was a bug. They've got a thing called a generic grid square contest, which would be perfect for the SEQP, but it was missing a field for the sent report. So I sent Bill J1 or K1GQ a bug report, and he says, yeah, we'll fix it for the next release. So that'll be taken care of in the next month too. So at least we got those 2 major operating systems covered.
That's really good.
Let's see. The other thing I had an idea with, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with something called the Contest Online Scoreboard.
Okay.
Most of the major software and logging packages allow you to send packets while you're contesting to this Contest Online Scoreboard. Then people can watch live real time who's operating, how many QSOs, how many multipliers they have, etc.
Yeah.
And this has gained a lot of popularity over the last couple of years with is kind of an incentive building tool, because if you see your best friend or buddy is just a few QSOs ahead of you, you try a little harder. But it's also, I think, a tool for, in my mind, I think some of the younger contesters are used to gaming and a lot of online collaboration. This would make that work too.
That looks great.
Yeah, so I contacted these guys. I haven't heard back, but I've got some other, I'll keep working on them. But this is an easy thing for us to do. And most of the software packages is just a checkbox or 2 to make it work. It's not a big deal. So just another tool in our arsenal, that's all.
That's really good.
Yep. So a couple other things that from the past, I didn't hear back from Bart. I think I probably emailed him maybe the 2nd week of December. And talking to Ed Rifchak, he said a lot of the league personnel and stuff were gone the last couple of weeks of the year, so on and so forth. And he said, nah, they might be getting ready for the board meeting next week. So I think I'm just going to ping Bart again and say, hey, did you get it? Did you see this or overlook this? Can I have any questions I can answer for you? And I will give that a shot real quick.
That sounds good. And I just emailed Bob Indervitson today too, inviting him to the Hamsci workshop. So Bob's usually pretty responsive to me. So if you don't hear from Bart, I can ask Bob what he thinks about it. And that's another way.
Okay, sounds good. We've now got I created a page for the, let's see. For our signal spotting challenge, an FAQ page. One, just to explain what it's all about, when the usual kind of questions, but I figure as we give presentations and we start publishing articles, some major, some minor. For instance, I wrote one for the CW Ops newsletter a couple weeks ago. This is just another page people can get some information, but I wanted to put some stuff in here about some suggestions for equipment, because maybe these people have never used Whisper before. They're interested in trying it. Give them an idea what they can use for a transmitter, what they can use for a receiver, some information on the software and the aggregation sites and whatnot. So without telling them how to do it, at least to give them a lot of, I think, meaty information on where to go to participate.
Yeah. We're going to, at the Hamsci workshop, I'm getting a local club to put together a demonstration station. We're going to do a walkthrough on campus tomorrow of where they can set up antennas and things. So I might try to, I think I'm going to encourage them to make sure they can demo things like Whisper and, FT4W or FT8 and some of these other things as well. Apparently there's a new one called VAR-AC as well.
I don't know if I've heard of that or not.
Bill Engelke was talking, Bob Gerzoff and Bill Engelke were talking about it on the Tuesday morning telecon.
Okay. So that's just another reference thing that can sit there pretty well for the next couple of years and people can refer to it.
That's great.
Let's see. I've not forgotten about QST and CQ. That's to be worked on. And I did meet with Vicky.
I just invited Rich Moseson to come to, both Rich Moseson and the ARRL to come to the Hamsci workshop. So we'll see if they can show up in person.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, especially for Rich. It's not that far of a drive, right?
Yeah, for Rich, it's a piece of cake. So hopefully.
Yeah.
You might want to consider also putting something into the NCJ, the National Contest Journal.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll be in the contest newsletter and the ARRL weekly news as well, Ron. So that's a couple other places we'll hit those communities.
Yeah, because I know a lot of contesters really like the contest journals. So anyway.
Right. Okay. Good suggestion. I did meet with Nathaniel. I did meet with Vicky yesterday on the banner for our festival page. So she says in a couple of weeks she'll have something for us. So
that's great. So it went well.
Yeah. It was only about 10 minutes, but I explained to her what we were after and why we like the kind of the old SEQP logo. I said it's a little bit on the dark side, maybe. I said, but we're talking about operating during Eclipse here too. So that's why the little darker theme may make sense.
Yeah.
So we'll get that out of the way. We talked about Xenia already.
So I think we'll probably have to work with Ward Silver on that more, because Ward Silver traditionally sponsors the Hamsci booth through the Yasmi Foundation. So Yasmi usually writes a check for all of the booth things.
Yeah, I know he's the president. I know he's got a pretty big role with them. So
right. Yeah, I think it's
I think that's YASME.
yes.
Yeah, you're right. I've got too many things on my screen here. There we go. There it is.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, I like the idea of involving Yoda.
So my question to you is that last year you were at the camp in Mason, Ohio. Did you spend a few days there at least, right?
I did, yeah, it was wonderful.
So if what I was thinking about doing is approaching Neil, and if I were him, I'd say, okay, this is a great idea. And I'm kind of excited about getting the younger people not only into the contest part of it, but into the whisper stuff too, because that's kind of something where you've got a couple of different groups. They could each put a whisper transmitter on the air. They could experiment with antennas. They could see who had more spots versus other groups and stuff. I think it could generate a lot of interest with them.
Yeah, definitely.
But if I was Neil, what I would say is, hey, that's a great idea. Can you come up here? I think they're in Canada this year and participate. So I don't know if you were planning on being up there or what if you figured that out yet.
So I'm not going to be there because my travel schedule is already intense. But you know, Veronica Romanik, who's my student, she's graduating this year. She might be up there because she was invited to, she went last year and she was invited to be like one of the leaders of the Yoda thing. So so she's quite good at giving ham-sci type of talks, public talks and things like that. So she would actually be an excellent person to wave the flag, as it were.
Okay, maybe I'll contact her first, let her know what I'm thinking, so she's not surprised before I contact
Yeah.
Neil then.
Yeah, so her call is KD2UHN.
That's right. Right. Okay. Good. And we, at some point, we'll be in touch with the College Contesting Consortium. I'm not too worried about that yet.
Yeah.
We talked about Jesse
maybe,
Alexander
maybe
already,
the University of Scranton will actually have real antennas by then.
There we go.
Because I learned two things this week. Our engineering firm contacted the city of Scranton, and we learned that there's actually an exemption for communications antennas from zoning requirements. So
Oh wow.
I know that's the reverse. You usually don't see that. They communications antennas are specifically exempt from zoning. So we were very happy about that. And then the second thing is we do have confirmed our engineering team, our antenna contractor, physical plant, and myself, we're all meeting this Tuesday on campus to try to get this thing kicked off. So maybe we'll actually get maybe we'll actually have a station.
That's encouraging. I mean, it's because well, the guys at Case are finding out they can put you off ad infinitum and try to discourage you, but you got to keep at it. So
I know. So yeah, so
I've got
yeah.
Thought I had a picture of I can't put my finger on it right now. Picture of the CWU antennas from up in the top, but anyhow. So yeah, you talked about Jesse a little bit. You got that well underway, so that's a good news.
Yep.
Okay. And I saw your grape update, so it sounds like we're still we're not exactly pushing the rope. John's got some ideas, and hopefully they come to fruition.
I hope so too. So, but yeah, I thought that was an encouraging email. I think there were a few concerns I had with it, so I'm not totally like set yet, but you know, because he's changing the data format, and that may complicate data collection because Bill Engelke and the University of Alabama is expecting a certain data format. But presumably the data format that John is proposing could be brokered into the data format that Bill is expecting. And I know John's very concerned about these $250 a pop Raspberry Pis, which certainly is a concern, but we still have a little bit more time where the cost may go down. There's still probably at least like 25, 10 to 15 grapes that are out there already running Raspberry Pi 4B pluses or whatever that could be repurposed for this. And I do have a few pots of money that might be able to pay for expensive Raspberry Pis if that's what it came to. So we've got a few tricks up our sleeve, I think.
Okay, if you can do it quickly, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but I remember obviously the grape one was a single frequency. I know it was John's proof of concept and it worked extremely well.
Mhm.
The grape 2, now we're monitoring 3 channels, right? So what was the impetus behind that leap in technology, I guess?
Why, do you mean why or how?
Yeah, why?
Why? Because propagation, different frequencies are sensed, are refracted by different altitudes of the ionosphere. And you're going to have certain, certain bands are going to work during the eclipse and other ones aren't, and then it's going to switch, after the eclipse. So basically you're trying to get as many different bands and paths as possible.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I for some reason I missed that along the line, and I without that understanding, I was kind of lost. So okay,
Yeah.
I guess Christina will probably restart those calls next week too, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's scheduled to start next week. And Christina's going to be handing that off to Rachel Bodeker. Rachel is
Okay, yeah,
the new PhD student.
right. Since she's at Case and Christine's moving on, so okay.
That's right.
Okay, good. Okay. We don't have, maybe we should put this off a little bit. We don't have too many of our participants in the speakers bureau here. It's just
Yeah.
3 of us. But we can put this discussion off till next week, but at least we've got a format for discussion purposes anyhow, so.
I like that a lot. That looks really good.
Hey, Gary and Nathaniel, quick question. I'm doing a presentation in about a week and a half to a club here and maybe some others coming up, just here locally. Do you have 1 or 2 slides I can put in at the end? I'd like to start mentioning this, or do you have anything? If not, I can create something on my PowerPoint presentation, but something on our contest, the Eclipse contest coming up that I could throw in there. If not, I'll make my own, but I just thought you guys might know of something that's already available on the website.
I do. I have a booth. I have a talk I gave at the Dayton Hamvention that's all about the eclipse. It's not quite as updated as what Gary has been doing, but it's a really good starting point. And I have some really nice visuals in there, so I can send that over to you.
Yeah, because what I'm looking at is I'm talking about other topics, but I want to be able to start putting out a plug at the end of some of my presentations, 1 or 2 slides that's like a summary, and then try to create some interest.
Yeah.
And I've also been, I think I mentioned this, but I've also been asked to do 1 or 2 presentations at Visalia, the International DX. And I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to incorporate a couple of slides towards the end of it to, so yeah, if you've got something like that, I can probably extract a couple of things from it. It just saves me a few minutes of trying to
Let me
recreate the wheel.
And I will send that link out to you. Let me show you what's in here too. I want to show you one thing in particular.
Yeah, if I could get that link as well, because that'll help me, because that's what I got to be working on soon too.
If I just put it in the chat, is that good?
Oh yeah,
Good for
that's
me.
great. And I'll just throw it in with my other presentations, and then when I have a few minutes, I'll go in and take a look at it. And again,
I want to show you the animations I have in there, because I spent a good amount of time doing these animations. Copy link. All right. Chat. Paste. There you go.
all right, super.
All of the details for the grape portion are pretty well fleshed out in there, because by the time I actually had to submit the proposal for the grape project like the morning that I gave this talk. So that was pretty well hammered out. But the updates to the SEQP weren't hammered out by the time when I put this talk together. But if you look at slides 14 and 15 in there, I'm going to take over the screen sharing for a second. Here you have these nice animations. And these are actually at 300 kilometers altitude.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's the altitude of where we're saying the F region of the ionosphere probably is. So like every other eclipse track or map you find on the internet is going to be at ground level, but these are actually designed for us.
Yeah, it is pretty slick.
Yeah.
And you're fine if I use some of these in presentations then?
Yes. Yeah. So these two particular slides I created and I own. So yes, you can use those. And some of this stuff I took out of an astronomy book, so maybe you shouldn't use that.
I'll be careful.
Yeah. Or get something off of but all this other stuff and anything that's my stuff, you're more than welcome to use.
Okay.
Which is most of it.
Okay.
I would think getting that something from like a NASA site would be good too, because we've already paid for that through our taxes. So
that's right. Yes. This one's cool too. This is from the 2017 eclipse. What this is showing is this is the what is it? This is 300 kilometers altitude minus the ground. So you actually see the difference of how much obscuration there is at altitude versus on the ground. I only have this for 2017 calculated, but it shows you where a point is either blue is more eclipsed in the ionosphere and red is more eclipsed on the ground.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty cool. And for anyone who does Python, I have the codes that generate this stuff on GitHub, so people can actually run this stuff themselves if they want. So, all right, I'll give it back to Gary now.
Thanks.
Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, there's one other question, I guess. So I think, yeah, now's a good time to ask it. Ron has a couple other talks. There's one on ham radio and DX history. There's another one on, I think it was Mac Logger or one of the DX logging softwares. Do we want to limit the Speakers Bureau more to the ionospheric and our research topics, or do we want to go more general? So I think we need some guidance there.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I just sent you my 3 most popular presentations because you said something about you wanted to populate the table. But yeah, I don't know. The DX Lab suite might be appropriate because it's got a logging program and it's got quite a bit of stuff with the gray line and looking up things. So that might be appropriate. Ham radio and DX history, maybe not.
I try to be a little bit more on the I try to stay focused, but I also try to be a little inclusive because I think that's kind of some of the nice part of being a amateur community is you have all of these different views or perspectives or things, and you don't quite know where you're going to see interactions and not, and so I think I think it's appropriate to keep some ham radio and DX history on there as well.
Here's
one thing I don't want HamSci to be is I don't want HamSci to just be like pure science and like purely professional. I really want HamSci to still be an amateur radio thing. Keep some of that ham radio aspect into it.
Yeah, here's the just for your information, Nathaniel. I've already sent this to Gary, but here is a, let's see, there it is right there.
I mean, ham radio and DX history, like if you watched Chen Pen Yang's keynote talk at last year's Hamsci workshop, like the ham radio and DXing is a lot of the reason we understand the ionosphere the way it is today. So it's actually it's part of the story.
Yeah, okay, there it is, right there. I found it. What I wanted to show you real quick. Huh, interesting. It won't let me copy and paste into the chat. Okay.
Why not?
I have no idea.
Huh.
But for some reason, it all right, I really wanted to show you a quick kind of a summary of it, but for some reason it's interesting. It won't let me do anything in the chat. Well, oh well. I don't want to hold things up, so.
And not a problem. We're about at the end of my notes anyhow, so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all it was Nathaniel, was just a quick, and like I said, I sent it to Gary, just a quick encapsulation of what the actual presentations were about.
Hey, Ron, I'll tell you what, I'll add them to the test site here. This is going to come back up for discussion next week anyhow, since when more people are here. So we'll all be able to see it next week.
Yeah, and then that way it might help even to see if you want to keep it in or not. Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, I've got it. So I'll put it in here in the next couple of days. So, okay. So I think that was pretty much the end of what I had to discuss today.
I think that sounds really good. Yeah, I mean, in that case, we can probably just cut it short for today. And then I think that sounds really good.
So
Okay.
I have a quick question for you on this speakers bureau. Are they going to be, once it's up in place, is that something that'll just be like on the website, and it'll just say if you would like some information, the following individuals, click, and then it'll bring that up, and then they contact us? Or are they going to be going through you and you're going to be contacting us, or is that just not even determined yet?
I don't think that's determined yet. So
Okay, no big,
I don't
minor.
know if we want to put individual contact information on there, or if we want to have a central point of contact.
Yeah, so we have possibility of doing it either way. So that's, like I said, when we get the bigger group together, that's a good question to raise, Ron.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's good.
All right, well, we'll cut it short, and was used to say it when I was working, when meetings quit early, you got 25 minutes back into your day, so.
It's good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Use it to answer more emails.
Yeah, I know you probably need about 4 hours, but.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy, but yeah.
You take care of a few more patients, so.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody have a great day.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks,
Okay,
Gary.
everyone, take care. We'll talk next week.
Bye.